Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, the 17th of June. I'm Erin Viner, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Alert sirens rang out on the Golan Heights just before noon today, amid concerns that the Syrian civil war is growing increasingly closer to Israel. No explosions were reported on the Israeli side of the frontier, although intensifying combat around a Druze village in Syria is sparking fear over a potential wave of refugees flooding over the northern border. IBA's Aria O'Sullivan has this report.
It is a war zone on the other side of the Golan Heights border with Syria, as rebels bombard a Druze village and Syrian army bases with artillery and mortar fire. The village of Khadar is just 4 kilometers away from the frontier. Local Druze were fearful of a bloodbath of their brethren and have come to this spot to monitor the situation. Syrian rebels announced that they have launched a major offensive to capture the remaining positions of the Golan Heights held by the Syrian military, particularly around Quneitra. Shortly before noon today, sirens wailed in the Israeli villages of Or Tal, Zivan, Merom Golan, and Alonei HaBashan. No hits of missiles or mortars were detected. Yesterday, the IDF temporarily declared the northern Golan Heights a closed military zone, but lifted it last night. IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot said that the army would act to prevent the slaughter of Syrians close to the border and provide refugees with humanitarian aid. He did not specifically mention the Druze. The 700,000 Druze in Syria have largely mobilized with Bashar al-Assad's army in their 4-year-old civil war, and thousands have been killed. Local Druze have appealed to the government to help the Syrian Druze, which is a touchy situation for Jerusalem, which has so far managed to stay out of the Syrian revolution. In the past few days, Druze in Israel have held demonstrations in solidarity with their Syrian brethren. Israeli security personnel are deployed along the border to prevent Syrian refugees from entering, and also from Israeli Druze from rushing into Syria to fight. The offensive is closing in on Assad's final hold on the Syrian Golan Heights, and the IDF is keeping a keen eye open for all developments. Aria O'Sullivan for IBA News.
The Palestinian Unity Government is likely to resign within the next 24 hours. That's the word from Fatah officials in Ramallah, who say that President Mahmoud Abbas told leading members of his movement that he is bringing an end to the joint government with Hamas. The 2014 unity deal was aimed at ending 7 years of bad blood between Fatah and its rival Palestinian faction, and the current government was formed before the summer conflict between Hamas and Israel. The two sides have, however, continued bitter disagreement over many issues, including the reconstruction of Gaza. Hamas violently seized the territory from Fatah in 2007, leaving Abbas to govern only in the West Bank. Israel and Hamas have been maintaining indirect contact aimed at cementing a long-term truce with the Gaza Strip. According to Hamas, messages have been passed via Arab channels as well as European and Turkish intermediaries in efforts to firm up the informal ceasefire agreement that took hold last August, ending the 50-day conflict with Israel. According to the Times of Israel, the communication has been confirmed by an Israeli source. The Egyptian brokered ceasefire went into effect on August 26th, with both sides pledging to resume indirect contact within a month toward a lasting agreement. Hamas officials are indicating interest in reaching an understanding with Israel, but add that it's too early to say that there is a proposal on the table. They also report that the general model allows for Israel's easing of the Gaza blockade and allowance of greater amounts of materials in exchange for quiet. The Jerusalem Film Festival has canceled the controversial screening of a documentary profiling Yigal Amir, who assassinated Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in 1995, as part of a compromise deal with Minister of Culture Miri Regev. IBA's Eli Wogelenter has that story.
Organizers of the Jerusalem Film Festival have accepted the demand of Culture Minister Miri Regev and will not screen the documentary film Beyond the Fear about Yigal Amir, the murderer of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. Regev said the festival would be held without support or funds from the government if the film was shown. Organizers agreed to have a special screening a few days prior to the festival, although the movie will remain as a candidate for Best Israeli Documentary. The controversy comes on the heels of the ongoing saga surrounding the Al Midan Theater in Haifa, which had government funding withdrawn this week over a play about a Palestinian prisoner who murdered an Israeli soldier. 2 Knesset members addressed the issue of freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech in Israel is open to everybody. it is almost as far as it can go. As long as you're not violating any law, you can do everything. We're talking about a different issue. We're talking about sponsoring specific things from the government. And about the agenda, what to sponsor or not, I think Israel, as a state, should put a line. We should not sponsor any theater, show, or whatever that is acting against the acting and creating delegitimation of Israel, and that is actually proclaiming that being a murderer for the Hamas is a good thing. So we need to stop this nonsense and at least not finance them.
I think that culture is supposed to be free. And I think that the Minister of Culture is making a mistake to say that I will censor or I will provide budget from theaters or cultural organization that doesn't believe in my beliefs. It's hard for me that there is a movie on Yigal Amir, the murder of Rabin, but I will defend the organization and the Cinematheque in Jerusalem to show the movie. I will not go there, I will not watch it, but it's not my taste. I don't want to see it. I don't like it. I can even resent it, but I still defend them to show it and to present it.
Regev responded to the Jerusalem Film Festival statement saying, "I welcome the decision of the festival's administration to adopt the proposal not to screen the movie about Yigal Amir within the framework of the festival. I also call on the public to stay away from watching the film, even when it's screened outside of the festival." Eli Wogelanter, IBA News.
Attorney General Yehuda Weinstein has approved the further police investigation of Likud Knesset member Oren Chazan following mounting allegations of criminal wrongdoing. In addition to charges of supplying drugs and prostitutes to visitors at a casino he managed in Bulgaria and sexual harassment in Tel Aviv, the freshman MK is also suspected of committing physical assault before taking office. Chazan is accused of attacking the mayor of Ariel, Eli Shaviro, and Municipal Director General Avi Ezer during a heated argument last year. Even though the police called to the scene after the incident collected testimony, the investigation was put on hold during the Knesset elections and required authorization from the Attorney General to proceed. The allegations over his activity in Bulgaria were revealed in a Channel 2 expose broadcast last week. An investigation is also expected to be opened into the complaints of several former female employees at the Fleischer Hotel Bar who came forward yesterday with allegations Chazan sexually harassed them when he owned the venue between 2010 and 11. In political developments, Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid has announced that his party will support the government from the opposition on all issues related to state security. He criticized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, however, for not promoting peace with the Palestinians or supporting religious pluralism. Lapid made the remarks during a briefing to the steering committee of the World Jewish Congress.
I'm sitting here as one of the leaders of the Israeli opposition, but it is important to me to tell you all that there are two key issues in which there is no opposition and coalition in the state of Israel. The first is, of course, the fact that we oppose the Iranian deal, or at least what we know about the Iranian deal. The answers we are getting from the American administration are not sufficient, and there's a place to be extremely worried about, and therefore we're going to support the government even from opposition. The other key issue is the fight against the BDS organizations and the delegitimation of Israel around the globe. This has been a strong issue in Europe for the last decade or so. It is now penetrating the United States as well, especially in American campuses. And it is important for Israelis and the diaspora to address this hand in hand, because we can portray this in a nice way, but these are people who are saying, do not buy from the Jews. Don't go enter the shops of the Jews. This echoes dark times. And so we need to address this together. There are two other issues in which we are in opposition. The first is, of course, the peace process, or to be more exact, the lack of one. And the fact that Israel is not involved right now actually in no kind of process, and this is a threat to the future of Israel. The fourth issue that we have to address is pluralism within the Jewish world. Right now, it's an absurd. Israel might be the only country in the Western world in which Jews do not have freedom of religion, because there are some streams of Judaism that are not acknowledged by the state, like conservative and the Reform and others. And we need to make sure that if Jewish woman wants to go to the Wailing Wall with their talit, they can. And if somebody wants to have to get married in a Reform synagogue, he can.
A rare inscription in ancient Hebrew from the time of King David has surfaced at the very same site where the biblical warrior slew the giant Goliath in the valley of Elah. The 3,000-year-old pot bears the name of Eshbaal, which is the name of one of King Saul's sons, who was beheaded according to Scripture. IBA's R.A. O'Sullivan brings us more in this report.
These pottery sherds were dug up from Khirbet Kayafa 2 years ago and painstakingly reassembled by workers at the Antiquities Authority. The beautiful ceramic pots date from the First Temple period, 3,000 years ago, and one of them was extra special.
We have here a jar with an inscription on it, and this is from the early 10th century BC. Till about 6-7 years ago, even one inscription was not known from the time of David and Solomon. And today we are lucky because we have now 4 inscriptions, one from Jerusalem, one from Bet Shemesh, and 2 from Khirbet Kayafa. And this is the best of all the 4, because the other inscriptions were written with, the writing is not so impressive. But this one, every letter is very well executed.
Professor Garfinkel deciphers the ancient inscription, written in Canaanite or Proto-Hebrew.
The beginning is a bit broken, but it means Chelkat probably, which means from the estate of, and then Eshbaal, son of Beda. In antiquity, people didn't have family names, so they were called after the father. So we have here a guy called Eshbaal, and his father was Beda. It's very interesting that from the same period exactly, we have another Eshbaal mentioned in the Bible. This is Eshbaal, son of King Saul. And the biblical Eshbaal was in the same period as David. So there was David and Eshbaal, 2 kings fighting over, and after 2 years somebody cut Eshbaal's head, brought it to David in Hebron.
For archaeologists, discovering a name inscribed in a pot brings the Bible to life. This Eshbaal was not the son of Saul, but likely a local landowner.
This is the first Eshbaal ever found in archaeology, and it's from the time of David. So you can see that Eshbaal was a common name only in the time of David in the Bible, and only in the time of David in archaeology. So it's very nice to see how these two things fitting each other.
The name Eshbaal disappeared from the Bible after this period, most likely because of its negative connotations with the Canaanite deity Baal.
I'm not going to prove the Bible or disprove the Bible. I just think the Bible for me is another document, and the archaeology is another way to attract data from antiquity. Sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't fit.
The excavations have been over for 2 years, but that doesn't mean the discoveries have finished. R.A. O'Sullivan for IBA News.
The Mobley Media technological startup has launched what it claims to be a search revolution. The company's new engine empowers users to discover photographs and videos of places, events, news, and current trends being posted by billions of others all over the world. Company executives explained the significance of the project at an inaugural event in Tel Aviv last night.
Ring is a machine that allows you to see the world through other people's eyes. In today's era, when the most popular camera in the world is a smartphone, which has internet connection and a GPS into it, then basically, if you think about it, we have eyes everywhere. What we want to create is a machine that connects the eyes, that allows you to see anything you want to see, whenever you want to see it. The world is evolving very fast. Today, not the majority, 90% of the data that gets created every day, getting created in the social networks by normal people just like me and you, not by professionals in news outlets. If there's an earthquake right now in Nepal, instead of just seeing 1 or 2 photos, professional ones from Reuters or AP or Getty Images, you can see Nepal from the eyes of the people that live in there and taking those photos right now.
We're thrilled to launch AIN because it's actually built under the premise that anything worth seeing in the world, worth sharing, is being captured in real time by the crowd. And the crowd gives us this multitude of perspective and this authenticity that curated news outlets cannot give us. Whether it's an event, a planned one or an unplanned one, or a trend, or a simple place or location in the world, it is currently being captured by tens of millions of people. AIN virtually provides you the possibility of seeing anything, anywhere, at any time, as it is being captured and experienced by people that are actually there. And I think this is quite unique.
Real estate mogul and television personality Donald Trump has announced his candidacy for the Republican nomination for the 2016 U.S. presidential election. The billionaire joins a crowded group of 13 party hopefuls. He's considered a long shot, though, and currently polling in next to last place, only ahead of former New York Governor George Pataki. Trump's first challenge is to move up in the polls so that he can be invited to the televised Fox network debate between the Republicans in August that is limited to the top 10 competitors, according to national surveys. And the newest candidate wasted no time in demonstrating his intention to speak bluntly during the campaign.
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. And I'll build them very inexpensively. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. Nobody.
Muslim communities around the world are preparing for the start of the holy month of Ramadan, according to the Islamic calendar, that begins later tonight. In Damascus, residents hit local markets, although more than 4 years of civil war have led to higher prices and increasing poverty rates, meaning many families are unable to purchase even basic products for the festive family meals that follow fasting during the daylight hours. Residents in Cairo also say that they're struggling to afford the usual Ramadan fare, as Egypt's economy is still in recovery mode during years of instability since the overthrowing of former President Hosni Mubarak in 2011. Lanterns, dolls, and sweets are on full display, but at prices locals complain are 60% higher than last year. And meanwhile, increasing numbers of Muslims living in refugee camps have even less to celebrate. Residents of the Gawar Gosk camp in Erbil, the capital of Iraq's northern Kurdish region, say that chronic shortages of food, electricity, and water have made life increasingly unbearable. More than 3 million Iraqis have been displaced since June, when Mosul fell to the Islamic State. And in Jordan, more than 600,000 Syrians who fled the civil war say that they have few plans to observe the holiday because they don't have enough food to celebrate the break fast. The annual Islamic observance commemorates the first revelation of the Quran to Muhammad. And now taking a look at local finance, and the shekel today put in a mixed performance in foreign currency trading, as did share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. You're looking at the afternoon numbers. Well, it's not quite summer yet, but it sure feels like it. The IBA weather team tells us we can expect another rise in temperatures to unseasonably high levels tomorrow. You're looking at the forecast at home and abroad over the next 24 hours. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow when I'll be back to bring you the latest breaking news from Israel. I'm Erin Viner, wishing you a wonderful evening and shalom from Jerusalem.